Hello again, it's Deborah Baker here, back in the Costa Blanca in Spain. Nice to see you all again, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful pendants. The first two were as a result of a test, but I'm quite pleased the way they've turned out. So we're going to do some things in a mould for this video, and I'm going to use this one here at the heart part of it. I'm not too keen on the star one. I have made a couple of star pendants, but I'm not too keen, and it is difficult to get your points on your stars, so I just use the heart on those. People tend to quite like to buy heart pendants. Now, so the first thing that you need to do when you've got your new mould and even between fires is put some kiln wash on them. You can get some sprays to use instead of using kiln wash, but for this video I'm using kiln wash because I've got some. And you mix 1 part powder to 5 parts water. Apply the primer evenly with a soft brush, horizontally and vertically 4 or more times. Initially I would say yes, you need to do it 4 times on your new mould. As you use it more, you probably don't need to do it 4 times because it does retain some of the kiln wash from the previous firing. 1 of that, and then 5 equivalents of that teaspoon of water, and mix them together in a container, which is what I have here in this bottle. When you apply your kiln wash, put it around the edges as well for the little bits of glass that escape or that don't go into the mould. Don't actually go into that part of the mould when you're applying them. Little bits of glass can tend to end up everywhere. So I'll do that and I'll let it dry. You can see it does dry quite quickly anyway. And then I'll add another couple of coats to it, and then leave it to make sure it's completely dry. A few hours, maybe less, depending on the climate that you're in, but obviously it might look dry on the top, it might be a little bit wet underneath because it does soak a little bit into the mould. And then, so the kiln wash is dried now, and it goes to a much lighter colour. Now it's ready to put your frit or glass in, as we're going to do now. Sorry about the camera angle again here. This was some earlier footage that I had before I improved my videoing skills. Anyway, I'm just cleaning out the moulds to make sure there's no bits in there with a soft brush. And now, I don't always use frit. In fact, I only occasionally use frit when I make my moulds. I prefer to have little pieces of broken glass for a few reasons. One, because frit tends to reduce to pretty much nothing when you fuse it, so you have to put a lot of it in to start off with. And second, because you get a lot of bubbles with frit, and you get less bubbles with the bigger pieces that you use. And by breaking up your pieces and making your own frit, it's cheaper. This is medium frit, and then these are all my scrap bits of black that have been when I've cut out squares or whatever from larger pieces, or you know, just the scraps that you acquire during the course of fusing. And if they're bigger bits, I just break them down a little bit by hammering them, which I have got me hammering some stuff in another video. So I use these bigger pieces as a base for my piece. If I want it on a black base, if I want it on a white base, I'll use white pieces that I've acquired, and if I want it on a clear base, I'll use clear pieces or coloured or whatever. This is why you rarely waste any glass when you're doing glass fusing. So here I am putting them, all these little pieces, in the bottom to make a nice black background for the bits of broken dichroic that I'm going to add next. Because I like so much colour and bling in my pendants, keep all my little pieces of dichroic so that I can mix and match it all together to create as much colour and bling as possible. And by putting this layer of black below, it makes sure that the back is an even black colour. And then I've got bits of dichroic clear, which I then put on top, which creates even more dichroic colour and bling. Because they are little broken pieces, it allows you to see the glorious dichroic colour underneath too. You get double whammy dichroic bling colour shine overload, which is what I like. So the next layer here, I've got a selection of, again, scrap pieces of dichroic that I've kept off other pieces, or pieces that have failed and I've broken up, and I'm just sorting out some little pieces with maximum dichroic bling on them to use as the next layer. And then once I've sorted these out, we've arranged them on the piece, I'm going to go through my clear dichroic to add another layer on top. So this is my selection, and also I'm looking at some little dots that I made in the microwave kiln, which is coming up in another video to follow, because I might as well use some of these as well. These are, I'm looking particularly at the misshaped ones, the ones that are not quite dot, which of course you can use in the moulds too. So these black backed pieces of dichroic, I'm just going to arrange within the mould with the dichroic side up to get as much colour as possible. Now they're not going to sit exactly next to each other, which is why we've got the black first layer, so that if you see the pendant from behind, it is just black at the back. Otherwise it would just show bits of clear through, so it would be a bit patchy, which is okay because nobody's going to look at the back, but it just creates a nicer back to the pendant by having the black background layer. So I'll just do the same in the second mould. And now I'm going to get my dichroic on clear scraps. Now I have textured and just plain untextured dichroic. You can choose to use which you want, or a mixture of both, which is what I'm doing now. I'm trying to place them dichroic side up. I'm not too bothered if some of them are dichroic side down, because they're only little pieces. They will adhere somewhere at some point to the pieces underneath. And using this method as well, we will have some bits of dichroic showing through the top of the heart, which can look nice on, or if you don't like it, we can always take it off with the grinder. When you've sorted out the bits you want, you might want to give them all a rinse, especially if they've been lying around a while. I'm just going to be cleaning these pieces that I'm picking out one by one. So by using this method and placing lots of little pieces of dichroic, it enables you, by putting the clear on top, the clear dichroic, to see the colours underneath. Because if you've seen my previous videos, you'll see how sometimes when you put a piece of clear dichroic in one piece on top of the dichroic you've got underneath, it can completely blot it out so that you don't see the dichroic underneath. I've explained this in my previous videos. So this is a nice way around it, a way of getting a double layer, if you like, of dichroic, and which will create depth in your piece as well, without blotting out completely the colours underneath. So that's that first one completed, and hopefully you can see the array of colours that there are in there. Because these are larger pieces of glass, larger than the frit, and I've tried to get them as much into the shape as possible, you'll find that it won't reduce down so much, so it should melt nicely to the shape of the heart. I'm just cleaning and adding another piece to that top corner there because I noticed it was lacking in a little bit of depth. The second heart, I'm just going to cap this now with clear. Again, these are pieces of clear glass that I've collected, and I'm using those instead of the frit because there'll be less bubbles. And also I'm just capping this one so that you've got a comparison between the two when they're fused, so that you can see which you prefer yourselves. I actually find this quite therapeutic. Some people may find it boring, I guess, but I quite like fitting all these little pieces on top of these moulds. But in any event, for the speed of this video, I'm going to speed this up so you haven't got to sit through it. Okay, so they're ready to go into the kiln now. Here they are in the kiln. Again, I'm sorry about the camera angle, I just had it round the wrong way. You'll see I have some other pieces in there. Because they are going in on a full fuse, I decided to put the moulds in as well. You don't have to fuse in a mould on full fuse, but you can do, so it just saves having a second firing. So one of the settings on my kiln is already full fuse, so I just have to select that program and away we go and leave it to it. I'll leave that to run overnight and be back with you tomorrow with the fused pendants. So 24 hours later, here they are out of the kiln. And as you have your kiln wash on your mould, they should pop out easily like that. So this is the clear capped one. And this one has come out perfectly. Amazingly, it doesn't even need any grinding and refiring. Normally you get like spiky bits on the side, but not on this occasion. So you've got to go with it, haven't you? Just count yourself lucky when it happens. So we have a little bit of dichroic that's come out the sides there. Well, you could take that off in the grinder if you wanted. Sometimes it does detract when you get dichroic on the outside. It does detract from what's inside. Sometimes it doesn't. Can you see all the different layers of glass in there? All the different depths, like you've got that. So you've got that like shiny piece there, and then below it, if you can see, you've got that yellow piece, and then another different level that there, and then the black is like, it makes it look really deep. It's so interesting. It's such an interesting piece. So pleased with that. Now this one is definitely going to need a bit of tidying up on the grinder, but the colours in that are absolutely beautiful, and the depth in that is amazing as well. It's got quite a nice heart shape to it beneath all those jaggedy edges, but that will completely transform once it's been in the grinder. So we can do that and have it as a pendant with the raw Dichroic showing on the top, which would be lovely. The colours in it are lovely. Or the other alternative is we can put it back in the mould and we can put clear glass on it as we did with the other one. Or we can sprinkle frit on the top of it so that it gets right into the curve. It's just missing a little bit at the curve, the top left hand curve. Or there is another option, which is what I'm going to do. See what that is. So I've had an idea what I'm going to do with this one, and I'm going to cover it with frit this time, and I'm just going to take it to a tack fuse because I want it to keep the texture and bubble effect that frit goes into, like little bubbles if it's only tack fused, just to see what it turns out like. So that'll be interesting. And this is how it's come out. It's something completely different, and I like it. I'm just going to go and pop it in the grinder now, because as you can see it has got these jaggedy edges on it, and it's lost a little bit of its in-depth there because it was only on tack fuse, so it didn't go to the shape of the heart totally. But let me go and pop it on the grinder and we'll come back to it and have a look at it then. So it's been in the grinder. I just thought I'd show it you while it was wet. It's lovely while it's wet. You could not get any more sparkle out of a piece. But even just giving it that bit of shape has made all the difference. Now I had to use the Dremel to get the dip, that bit there in the part, because the grinder's wheel is too big to make a narrow thing like that. So I emphasised it a bit more just to make it a bit more heart shaped. So it's going in the vinegar and water now, and then I'm going to polish it, and let's see what it comes out like. And if that comes out nice as it's looking now, I'm definitely going to be doing some more of those. In fact, it's got me thinking, this was another one that I'd fired that didn't come out quite right. This is a heart mould as well. It's a different one. It's not so deep, so it couldn't retain the shape as deep as this was. It was only a shallow one, but you can see the shape of the heart there. So I'm going to tidy this up a little bit just around the edge, and I'm going to put it back in the mould that it came out of, and I'm going to do the same as what I did with that. I'm going to put some frit on top, and they can both go in together because it's the same temperature for the fire polish as it is for tack fuse, and I should have another matching pendant. So check it out. So I'm going to put this frit on here, and don't forget, if you are having trouble getting the frit or glass or whatever to go where you want, you can use your glass tack or hairspray to hold it in place, which, because I've got quite a smooth bit in the middle, I think I'm going to do that. I don't want to put too much on, because I only really want a thin layer on the top. although I do want it to fill that corner up there. Now you are going to get spiky bits around the edge because of all the little bits of glass that are around the edge, so it's going to have to go back in the grinder. So it's not like a one fuse process. So that's going in the kiln on a tap fuse along with that one, which will fire polish as well. That's come out of the kiln now. Pretty much like the other one, it's got a lot of jagged edges on it, which I'm going to take off on the grinder or Dremel, and then I'm going to put it back into fire polish. And the other one that we've put back in just to fire polish has come out, and that's ready to have a bail on it. And other than that, I'm really pleased with it. So I'll show you this one when it's been grinded and fire polished too. So that's come out the grinder, and again I use the Dremel to get the indent in the top of the heart and emphasize it a bit more. And that's going in to the vinegar and water now then for a fire polish. That's my microwave kiln in the background, that's just doing something at the moment. So yep, this has come out of the ordinary kiln. So that's come out, that's beautiful. You can see all the depth in that piece. So bail going on that one, that's another completed piece, and I'll do some more of those later because I'm really liking them. So that's it. Thank you for joining me. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Hope you enjoyed the video. It certainly worked out well. And I've got lots more exciting stuff coming soon, so stay tuned to this channel. Bye for now and catch you soon.